Council meeting, October 22nd, 2019. It's being held at the council chambers at 21,000 Hacienda Boulevard in California City. If everybody would please take a moment to make sure that either your phones are off or on vibrate, please. This meeting is called to order. And if everybody will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, please.
Sure, sir. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, thank you for the nation that we have the privilege of living in. Thank you for the city that you give us the privilege of living in. May decisions made tonight help every citizen in this community to have a better place to live. We ask your blessing. We ask your protection on those wearing the uniforms of this nation scattered around the world. We pray for the men that are protecting us in our own town tonight, in our public safety. We pray in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please. Or, excuse me, roll call, sorry. My bad.
Councilmember Lisenovich,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stump,
Here.
Mayor McGuire.
Here. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Presentations, City Treasurer Middleton.
I get to go first.
Okay. I apologize. Go. This is for the city clerk's reports and late communications.
October 14th, these are all from J.M. Powers. The first one reads, City Council is urged to direct formation of a committee to explore and recommend repurpose and closure of the California City Airport. October 15th, the real parcel tax revenue, I can't talk my, sorry, characteristics over its 6-year lifespan. And October 13th, spending on Tierra del Sol is double the spending on street maintenance so far this fiscal year. And that is it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Sir, now you were set.
Evening, council, staff, and our gracious public. I have a couple things. The main thing is we had to draw down another $1 million from LAIF. We've done this every year, so it's not anything unexpected. We're down to $9,065,857 in LAIF today. And this month they'll be applying the interest on that. The Bank of Sierra checking account's doing good. Because of the money I drew down, it shows that we had, at the end of the month, $1.1 million, but we are actually down to about 500,000 now. Other than that, everything's going along smooth. Thank you, sir.
I don't think there was gonna be any more drawdowns coming up.
I anticipate there won't be. We've got taxes coming in.
Okay.
You know, the income, the property taxes. So I expect from here forward for a number of months there shouldn't be any. And I'll probably be moving back the other way.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Consent, or excuse me, civic, community, and organization announcements. Do we have any? Seeing no one getting up and hearing nobody, we'll be moving to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion if no member of the council, staff, or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Public comments, please limit them to 3 minutes and a roll call vote will be required. We're looking at CC1, approved check, city check registry, dated through 10/17/19. CC2 minutes dated 8/13/19, waive reading of subject minutes approved as written and were filed. CC3 gives second reading by title only and adopt ordinance number 19777 of the City Council of the City of California City rezoning 160 parcels located within the city of California City. CC4, adopt resolution 1019-2809 of the City Council of the City of California City supporting the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2020. And CC5, monthly department updates and reports received and filed. With that, does anybody have anything from the public that they wish to have pulled for discussion?
Mayor McGuire and Council, DJ Toohey, on this item, representing mycalcity.org. With respect to CC2, the minutes, would like to have the item pulled.
Okay, sir. Anybody else? Nothing else coming up here? Does anybody up here want anything pulled for discussion?
I just have some checks, questions.
Yeah, just check register.
Okay, since that's so, we will poll and discuss CC2. With that, anybody with questions on the check registry? Seeing none, coming up here.
Al, where are you when we need you?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
106441. The airport security fence. It seems like a bad dream that we're hearing this again. If we could get some, how many?
Clarification on this?
And,
Final answer?
and quite frankly, the last that we heard on this, that this was a grant that they were responsible for themselves. I don't know who to contact for fraud, waste, and abuse, but if they're handling their own grant and this continues, how much more surveying can be done on this fence?
I'd like to comment on that. Certainly. For the last 2 years and 10 months, we've been dealing with health engineering by VHT in regards to the security fencing. I've brought it up numerous times. I think it's time to get a full accounting of what we've paid out, what the grant has paid back to us, and how long this is gonna continue. I was under the impression that I keep hearing they're done, and it keeps coming back to us. So, if it's possible to get an accounting on that, is what I would be most interested in.
Is it the consensus of the council to pull this check until we can get some further information?
It would,
You know, my opinion, I don't see pulling it, let's pay it, but let's get an accounting and be done with this.
Yeah, cause this should be through.
You know, if there's more monies or if they're doing more work, let's, you know.
What are they doing?
We'll send a summary, I will get it to you guys with a detailed report.
Maybe Joe has something.
Yeah, I believe it was yesterday, we did receive an update on this project from BHT. They're 90% complete, and what we could do is, we could forward the email to council if they like.
Would you please, sir?
Yeah, it was a nice email explaining everything where they're at. But the first line is, we're 90% complete. We have requested reimbursements, and I believe we're on our second or third reimbursement. We got the first one or the first two. So that's on the email, we will forward it to you, and we can make it available to the public.
Thank you so
What,
much.
what is the total cost of this fencing? Because, I mean, this is like a never-ending story.
I don't recall off the top of my head, but one thing I do know is we're way below the grant amount with the fence, because this grant was just for the engineering part of it. So we were gonna go back to the FAA and ask if they would take the difference and apply it towards the actual fence. So, but all those numbers we will make notes and get to the council.
Mr. Mayor, may I? Mr. Bergen, are they responsible for their own grant, or are we responsible for the grant?
We manage the grant, I'm not sure, they might apply for it, and then we got it, and then they bill us, we pay them, and then we ask for reimbursements. I don't know if that answers your question.
I just,
Okay, so, all right, then we'll continue on. Any other questions with
Yes, I have,
check numbers? Other?
check number 106491 Quinn Company. 2 weeks ago, we paid a couple $1,000s for routine maintenance of the generator for the PD, and now we're paying another $1,687.54. Is this a second billing? Is it, why, usually when they do maintenance, they bill us once, we get the figure and we pay it. This is the second time we've been billed in the month. Just a question.
I'll get the answer for you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I'll have some comments under council agenda.
Okay. Any questions, sir?
No.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and be looking for a motion to approve CC1, CC3, CC4, and CC5, and 2 will be held by itself.
Make that motion for 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Mr. Mayor, on one, I'm gonna have to recuse myself again on the first 2 items, so let me get back to it. Which CC? CC3 rezoning, number 1 and 2, I'm gonna have to recuse myself on.
Everything else you,
Everything else I'm fine.
okay, if you could just make that statement when the roll call.
Okay.
Okay.
Did I get a second? I'm sorry.
No, second.
Oh, we need.
second,
Second.
Councilmember Lucinovich,
Aye.
Harris,
I'll recuse myself on 1 and 2 on CC3, otherwise my vote is aye.
aye,
okay, Mayor.
sorry,
Mayor Pro Tem Stump,
Yes.
Mayor McGuire.
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, coming up to CC2, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor McGuire and council. I just briefly conferred with the city manager. I believe the city manager's on the same page that the actual form as it relates to the water standby fee can be improved. I don't believe the form is clear enough that it's those properties that are not in proximity to water. The form that was prepared has good intentions about having an appeal to waive the fee, but however, it's more formed like a parcel tax if you have multiple parcels. That's not what we're talking about here. So the discussion on July 23rd, when Councilmember Smith was out of town and on the phone, Mayor McGuire, you said it was an excellent idea and that you liked the idea of the form being available online with an APN and the contact information as well as here in the lobby. But the entire discussion is about properties that do not have proximity to water. There's no relevance to how many parcels you have. So the form, in fact, would need to be very clear that it's your properties that do not have water lines available to them. And so that's why we ask this item be pulled, because that's not made clear in the minutes, nor is it made clear in the form. And so it would be your pleasure to clarify that with the city manager, that form could be improved upon so that it's relevant. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I went back and listened to, the tape verbatim on this, what DJ was saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Tuig, and exactly what was said. There was some agreement as far as what DJ had encouraged as an amendment for if you were not connected to a water line. So after you guys talked about it, I did put exactly how the motion read to believe that they were not paying the water standby fee. So there's no direct connection with the council stating that they wanted that to be part of the motion at the time to adopt that resolution. So just the form, and if people believe they were should not be paying water standby, then they should go ahead and fill this form out. So that was the connection that I got. He encouraged an amendment for not to be connected to a water line, and unfortunately, that wasn't stipulated in the motion.
Sir?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, so, I just chatted briefly with the city manager. Certainly, I don't know that this requires council approval of amending this particular form. I'm happy to work with the city manager and DJ, to clarify the appeal form. The item specifically here is just approval of the minutes of what was said, so if you guys can move forward with that, it won't impact us addressing any issues with the form.
Also, audio versions of the meeting are available, so anybody can get those from the city clerk. So, I've done that in the past, and anybody can do that, so.
Perhaps the confusion is that the city attorney was going to review the form and submit a form that's appropriate. So if the city attorney's form doesn't mention anything about proximity to water lines, I ask you, is that clear? So unless the form is actually made clear, it's useless. And so I think it's important that the form be very clear, because you don't want 40,000 confused people. Thank you.
We will review it and work with CJ, those suggestions in that turn, and see if we need to be more specific.
Is that fair enough with you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
That being said, looking for a motion to approve, number 2.
I made that
That
motion.
motion.
I second. I'll second your motion.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, let's just, yeah, we can do an all in favor, because it's not dealing with money. Well, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Lucinovich,
Aye.
Harris,
Yes.
Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Scott,
Yes.
Mayor McGuire.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Public hearing 1, which was supposed to be a draft development agreement with Angel Farms and Sim Point, Capital LLC. This public hearing is being pulled from the agenda. The item will be brought back once the planning commission has considered them and determines their recommendations to the city council. That being said, new business 1, OHV transition with city manager Lynn.
Mayor, council, public, we are moving the OHV under Parks and City Hall. With the Thanksgiving holiday coming up and grant deadlines due, it's imperative that we have an employee to manage the OHV program. This employee will continue to manage the OHV grant and overall OHV program. My recommendation is that the council direct the city manager to create a position of OHV manager and appoint this position immediately to continue the OHV program without interruption. This will not impact the general fund. Pay range is between $25.19 and $32.15, which will be paid out of the OHV grant fund.
Anybody from the public? Nobody from the public coming up here? Anybody up here have any questions?
I just think that OHV is important. I think that putting it under Parks and Rec is a better way to go. As soon as we do that, as soon as the city manager is able to find somebody who is appropriate to appoint in that position, we should proceed, and it should be immediate.
Sir?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. When I first heard about this, my first response was, we don't have a budget. We just simply can't add a position. But after talking with our city manager, without giving this some thought, really see 2 reasons to approve this. We need to squash any rumors that we are opposed to the OHV program. I think that there's been some misinformation that we are opposed, and I would put that in the same category as anyone thinking that Dr. Nick is opposed to, or Councilman Lucinovich is opposed to the golf course. He's been working really tirelessly to find ways to save the golf course. And I don't know anyone up here who is opposed to OHVers or the OHV program. So really to squash any rumors, I think this needs to be approved. And secondly, our, our city manager has been, she might be able to fall underneath the fire department as far as, since her time in office, of putting out fires, both large and small. And,
Never bad.
and I think it's important to be able to, where in principle, I would say no new positions while we don't have a budget. But this is very important to her to be able to function and do her job. So, I would recommend approving this for those two reasons, and perhaps others, but those two I think are important enough to approve.
Sir?
Are we gonna go to public? Or did we already do that?
We already did that, nobody
Okay,
came up.
nobody came up? I'm in total agreement. Again, the OHV has a lot of benefits. And not close enough, okay.
Yeah.
And the sooner the better we get somebody in that position up and running with the holiday coming, like Councilmember Smith said. I'm all in favor of doing this as soon as the city manager can make it happen.
Sir?
I'm in favor of moving forward with the item as presented, but the idea of how this is actually going to fit into the city budget is a separate issue. How it's going to fit into Parks and Rec is an interesting puzzle to put together. So I guess we'll take it up when we do the budget. So at this point, as far as keeping the program alive and moving forward, this is a necessary first step as far as, you know, what it's going to look like, how it's going to interface with Parks and Rec, or how we're going to manage those activities in the city. You know, we got some work to do, so we'll come back to that later.
Yes, sir. Yes, if somebody didn't get a chance to come up.
Just hearing what you're talking about, excuse me, Ken Kibble, Mayor and Associates. I'm not sure this is gonna work, but can the hiring be made contingent upon performance? Is that something that's possible?
That would be a personnel issue, and that would have to go through her.
There's always a probation.
Okay, thank you.
Not seeing anybody else. Looking for a motion since there's, sir?
I was gonna make the motion.
Looking for a motion since money is involved in this, whether it's with the grant or not. This will be a roll call vote. Looking for a motion.
I make the motion that we allow the city manager to go out and hire somebody to allow the continuation of the program, and that the personnel costs be through the grant, and also hire someone, that same person possibly, to get assistance with them in writing a new grant so that we are able to continue the program.
I'll second that motion.
Got a first and second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lisanovich,
Aye.
Paris,
Yes.
Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Stump,
Aye.
Mayor McGuire.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Public business to move forward. This portion of the meeting is reserved for the persons desiring to address city council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the city council has jurisdiction. Please state your name for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Georgia Johnson. I reside at 9947.
We don't need your address.
Okay. Anyway, I'm here this evening on behalf of myself and of anyone who has either purchased or built a new home in the city since January 1st, 2011. This is when a new state law went into effect that all new construction, be it commercial or residential, is required to be sprinklered. Because of this law, my home that was constructed in 2016-17 had to meet this requirement, and to be able to support the fire suppression system, a 1-inch water line had to be installed. I probably should have addressed this before now, but quite frankly, it slipped through the cracks. I was busy getting settled. I finally sat down and went through my water bill, and here is basically what I have found, gentlemen. A residence that has a 3/4 inch line pays a flat rate for tier 1 of $54.28, whereas a residence that has a 1-inch line pays a flat rate for tier 1 of $90.66. Based on the use of 10 cubic feet of water a month for each residence, I find the following. Since there's 7.48 gallons of water in 1 cubic foot, the 10 cubic feet would comprise 74.8 gallons of water. Now, dividing $90.66 by that 74.8, you have an amount of $1.21 per gallon of water. If you divide the 54.28 by the 74.8 gallons, you have an amount of 72.5 cents per gallon of water. I find that that is quite a disparity, and I'm asking the city to please consider a residential rate for a 1-inch line. And I feel this is only fair since all future building in the city will fall under this state law. And I understand, and I have seen, yes, we are picking up on new construction here, which is a wonderful thing to see. Anyway, that's my spiel this evening, gentlemen, and I thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing more on this concern.
Joe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something put in there that, for that type of thing was?
No, we did it on the AVAC side, but we never did it on our billing, so I can bring a staff report that is council meeting. I agree.
Yeah, I do
The
too.
1 inch is only for fire protection.
Yeah.
So I would, it's just the way the ordinances are and the billing is, we couldn't do it without council approval, but I'll bring a staff report at the next council meeting to get that with.
So, hang on real quick. So, city manager, you agree with that?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, if we could have some type of, maybe the attorney could draw it up where it's in, change the ordinance and put it, the same rate for residential, regardless of, 1 inch or 3/4 inch, it's the same rate.
And I'm sure that all developers in town want to start a Georgia Johnson Day. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Hang on real quick. Anybody else have anything? Don? Okay, Mick.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I would just suggest that perhaps maybe not limit it to the in-size, but just residential for the purposes of fire suppression. So just in case if there is a change in the future, we don't run into this again. So it would just stipulate that it's for fire suppression, regardless of the size.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thought I'd come see what it was like Saturday, but it was fantastic. Made enough money definitely to do it again next year, and we're looking forward. So we want to thank, we had a lot of volunteers, a lot of help that helped us put on that event because it's huge. We had about 35 people from High Desert Modular Railroad Club that came down from Lancaster mostly and put on a fantastic train show. And of course they ate and drank and visited our city for several days even before the event took place because a lot of prep goes into it. Also talking about thank yous, we had a big community planting day on October 12th, spearheaded by our Ann Richardson, horticulturist with the Garden Club, and they did a fantastic job. Many of the community members came out and helped plant Inspiration Walk that was started about 6 or 7 years ago. So we're still working on that project and it's looking fantastic. She still needs help if you need any. Something to do and like planting. They're always looking for new Garden Club members. They also do our median quite a lot and keep that looking good. We have our trunk or treat coming up next week at the high school from 4:30 to 5:30, and we still need trunks and candy. So if you have either a trunk, please get together with Parks and Rec, fill out a form, and we'd love to have you open your trunk up to the kids. And then we would also like candy donations. Maybe you could drop them off here in a bag and they'll put them out by my mailbox here at City Hall, or you could drop them off at the Strata Center. Also, this Saturday coming up, we have our East Kern Healthcare District Cancer Walk. All the funds do stay local. The event kicks off at 7 a.m. and our registration starts at 7 a.m. The event actually starts at 8. Youth basketball registration is underway. We are accepting applications now through November 20th, 10 o'clock in the morning till 7 at night, Tuesday through Saturday. Cost is $65 per child, $55 per additional child. We do travel to Roseman and Edwards Air Force Base. The age for the league is 7 to 14 years old. And lastly, we also have another community announcement. I don't think anybody here is from the Optimist Club, but we have a swap meet coming up at Aspen Mall on November 2nd from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they were still looking for vendors. So if you need any information on that, go ahead and give me a call and I'll get you the right person. Thank you.
And you did get my form with my money?
Yes, we're looking forward to having your police car at Trunk or Treat. The kids loved it last year. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Z. Burkhardt, California City. I'm here as the co-chairperson for First Baptist Church at 8770 Lupine Loop Drive. We're having a trunk or treat after the high school. Ours will be October 31st, same day at from 6 to 8 p.m. We will have food, carnival games, candy, and fun. All children must be accompanied by an adult. So we'd like to invite the community out to our trunk or treat. Okay, now.
See, before you go on there, and we also should let everybody know that security is gonna be provided.
Okay, we will also have security provided. We will have candy and we will have food for everyone that attends. Okay, now I want to announce that I am the new freshman's advisory class advisor. And we are going to have a fundraiser on November 16th at the California City High School. And it's going to be our first annual quarter auction / spaghetti dinner. The quarter auction to enter is $5 and you receive one paddle. And then we have like 15 vendors that will be there. Then we will have a spaghetti dinner with all the fixing, salad, dessert, bread, and your choice of beverage, which will be tea, water, or lemonade. Okay, so I'm inviting everyone out, and I would like for everyone like behind the scenes to support our newcoming freshmen into our high school, so we can do a lot of fundraisers, so they can have a successful year throughout, because they 2023 will be here before we know it. So if I would ask the community to please support, and once again, my name is Z, and you can send any donations to the high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Anybody else?
Well, Al Hudson. I've got a couple of things to talk about tonight. I'll start with the airport. A number of years ago, we were asked, J.M. Morris and I were asked to look at the airport. And it was done, and we concluded that the airport, California City Airport, is a money pit, just like TDS. And fast forwarding to this week, we did some research, and we have an audit report from the Inspector General of the United States that has jurisdiction over the FAA. The Inspector General climbed the FAA's body and let go, because the FAA was not doing their job as an oversight agency at municipal airports. with the grant funds that are being dispersed to municipal airports, the objective of the FAA and Congress is to have the airports being self-sustaining. California City Airport has never been nowhere near that. There were a bunch of lies that have been perpetuated by the former city manager, and that there were something like 33,000 touch and goes at the airport. It just isn't happening. Agencies or entities that lease that lease space at the airport, those should be at the fair market value. That includes boxes or restaurants and all activities there. The Inspector General looked back 20 years at, in this report at a municipal airport and found many discrepancies. They demanded that things be brought current within the statutes of limitations. The city needs to take a very, very serious look at this report that I have. I will email it to each one of the council members and the mayor. But looking back, we have to look at what was the city charging the movie studios for doing the movie shoots at the airport. Because what the city effectively did was cut Russell Michaels' throat by undercutting him on the pricing. Pricing should have been at the fair market value and not be a competitor of a private citizen.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
His time has expired.
I am speaking, please be quiet.
Hang on, Al, please.
There should be a more discreet way rather than interrupting the public.
Well, she's gotta let me know, I'm not looking at her, I'm looking at you. So bear with me.
I request more time because I have a couple of one of the things that I'd like to talk about.
Can you
I'll
kick it up a little?
summarize it real quick.
Can you kick it up a little bit?
Yes, I'm sorry,
I know you're trying to be very, very specific in what you're doing.
I'm 82, knocking on 83, and it takes a little bit more time. You'll be there one day. I don't know. Another thing that I was going to talk about is TDS and the federal receiver that's been appointed. Has the federal receiver been appraised of the transfer of the
Yes.
of TDS?
Yes.
Has been communicated
The city's been in communication since it came out.
So the city should be very penny wise with spending any more money at TDS in support of it without a commitment from the receiver that it is in fact city property. Don't waste another penny on it. Thank you, my time is up.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, again, and council. A couple of comments I'd like to share with you briefly, having sat through some of the budget hearings, and so in advance I want to talk briefly about that. I want to also comment that I appreciate the council's discernment over the budget as I've listened carefully. In particular, not spending more than we have, being good stewards of the money. I have not seen, however, what I believe is a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. And so I know we've talked about it for what, 5 years? And so I'm going to make a suggestion to you that you use some additional budget tools. I've created some art for you. I'd like to bring it to you. May I approach?
Absolutely. Give it to Madam Clerk.
So this is the best art that I have available. And the exercise here is to fill in the blank.
Do we have any crayons?
That's coming. And some magic beans. With respect to the pie chart here, I ask you to consider a simple question. In the city of California City, what percentage of the general tax should be applied to public safety? It's a simple question. What should it be this fiscal year? And then your strategic plan, the budget tool here is an exercise. What will it be the following year? And then the subsequent year? How are we actually going to afford public safety? It's an exercise. By 2023, by 2024, we will not have a parcel tax. So therefore, it's essential in your budget planning that you have a 5-year plan. You need a pie chart. And you need to know what percentage of the general tax will be applied to general services each consecutive year. My testimony here is that we need to grow the general fund by approximately $1 million a year. We need to know the steps. You need to know the first step. What is the very first step that we're going to take to increase the general tax by $1 million? If you don't know, we need to dive in. We need to have a plan. And part of that plan is having a cannabis officer that will actually competently collect the tax. But maybe our cannabis officer or / economic development person can actually look at the permits, can actually look at the property characteristics that have utilities, and ask some interpretive questions. Are they 60% complete? Are they 80% complete? When will the tax revenue be coming? On this form that I filled out for you, my time is up. I would like you to look at your 5-year strategic plan, each of the consecutive 5 years, and determine what percentage of the general tax will actually be used for public safety. Additionally, I'd like to ask you what percentage will be used for economic development, knowing the given. We have to grow by $1 million a year in general tax. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
This is addressing that, Andy Heath and, the city manager come up. I've seen their 5-year projection. They have it on Excel. It tells you even more detail than what Mr. Tuhig is asking for. So when we go through the budget meetings, you'll see that there's projections for 5 years. They take into account, this year we had the 20% for police and fire. Next year we have a larger increase, a smaller increase, but for them, that's taken into it. It's taken all the way for 5 years. And it shows the past two, and basically it's in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP and GASB. It's all like that. So I've seen that from Andy, and when we did our budget, you'll see that also, and I'm sure he's shown it to some of the people up here, but those projections are already there.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Keith Middleton again. I had a safety concern I just wanted to mention. There's nothing to be done about it now. I work at the senior center every Tuesday, and on the way back to work here, I stopped at Florida Conklin and Cal City Boulevard. 4 cars turned off of California City Boulevard, coming back from Highway 58 and traveling east. A gentleman was on the corner waiting to cross legally. He waited for the first car, and the first car sped by and didn't even slow down. He walked halfway across the westbound lane. 2 other cars whizzed by him and just missed him. He didn't even slow down. And the 4th car did stop. It's a concern. This is a senior citizen. He is, I couldn't guess his age, probably in the 70s. And I would really like the public to be more aware. They need to slow down for our pedestrians, whether they cross legally or not. They need to slow down. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I have a few questions. Kenneth Kidwell, Honorable Mayor. Does anyone, or can anyone tell me how much of housing taxes and how much of business taxes go into these pools where you're drawing money? I spent 2 years ago $11,000 in taxes. I went into Bakersfield and, the man told me, he goes, well, I wish everybody was like you. And I said, why? And he goes, because 80% of the people in Kern County don't pay their deficit in their taxes. So I'm wondering, in a perfect world, I know where this money comes from, but this is not a perfect world. And if I'm being told that 80% of the people who pay taxes are deficit, I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be reality to me.
Get a hold of the city manager, she'll get a hold of finance,
Right.
and they'll be able to get those numbers.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, that's all.
I believe you are.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you. Anybody else?
Jim Creighton, California City. The friends and family clan runs rampant in the city. As a result, the city has lost many good people who were committed to help the city. As a result of interference from council members, the city is pretty much decimated. Although the city has many talented people who do their jobs well, there is still a need for others from outside the city with more experience and expertise that can also benefit the city. With all the turmoil that's been going on in the past year, the Trump administration seems more stable than that of Cal City's. Some of you distinguished gentlemen sitting up there take rumors, innuendo, and accusations as fact and run with them. I've known that firsthand. Much to the detriment of the city, as these falsehoods could cause people to get fired or to resign unnecessarily. You voted the city manager in with a 5-0 vote. Her job is to run the city. Her job is the personnel under her, not yours. You, by ordinance, Unicode Section 2-1.102, council relationship with management, are only responsible for her. She is the only personnel issue you need to concern yourself with. At least 3 of you up there, like myself, are prior military or retired. Remember the chain of command? At the city level, it's more like a supervisory chain. We in the military were told to use our chain of command to resolve these issues. By interjecting yourselves into personnel issues at any level, you jeopardize the employees' rights and will end up having to recuse yourself if anything comes to council. Remember, you are the appellate. You are the appellate system for the employees. No one else is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a really hard time talking in public.
Not a problem.
Do my best.
You got all the time in the world.
About 3 minutes. Hi everyone, I'm Debbie Phones. I'm the mother of murder victim Deborah Schiller. And I'm here this evening because I have a problem. In 1999, a band called Limp Bizkit came out with a song called Break Stuff. After my daughter's murder, I dedicated that song to Cal City. Part of the chorus goes, it's all about the he said, she said bullshit. Probably applies to a lot of places, but Cal City definitely exemplifies these lyrics. Personally, I despise the he said, she said bullshit, which is why I'm here now. I hear and read a lot about guns on you, and I must admit I am absolutely baffled by what goes on in this town. No matter whose story you choose to believe, it's all in full insanity. I'm not a genius, I don't have college education. I see no point in complicated things, but you can make simple with life most. Sorry. The only simplistic view on this is as follows. Missing people need to be found. Killers need to be caught, crimes need to be investigated. Last year, my detectives, Shannon Hayes, was put on graveyard patrol. Short on staff was the reason given. At that point, none of the cases had objected. At one point, a retired cop saw my daughter's story and volunteered to help. He jumped through all the necessary hoops to do this. She made little like any progress before giving up. He was never permitted to do anything. Then his special tax comes up 3 times before finally passing this simplistic view, no tax, no cops. Pass tax, get cops. I was happy to tell him it's Sergeant Tim O'Quinn. You were doing something positive and that was good. But then I met Scary Larry for the first time in a very long time. I experienced an emotion I thought I'd lost forever. I felt hope. You have to understand that of these 8 cases, most need an investigator I only ever met one, my daughter. But in the 1,213 days since I lost my baby, I've grown to feel so much love for all 7 of these victims and their families. I understand how important closure is, not only for their loved ones, but for this whole family. Who Quinn and Leonard came here as a favor to us, basically. We needed them a hell of a lot more than they needed us. After being here for only 8 months, 8 months for Quinn, 5 for Larry, a lot of progress was made. Keep in mind they had 8 cold cases, the oldest dating back 18 years. They basically had to start from scratch. And then politics steps in, yay. You asked Quinn to take over for Hurtado. And even though that wasn't what he aspired to, she agreed. I can't attest to details because I was not there personally, but it only took 7 days for this town to make Quinn regret his decision to help. He stepped down as chief, and I don't blame him. Then you did something that made sense to me. You made Hayes interim chief. But somehow we once again are without someone to investigate these crimes. I wonder how things would differ if it was your chief and you were on my path. The biggest problem with politics is lack of humanity. Those in charge stop seeing humans and start seeing numbers. When that happens, everybody loses. I'm here in hopes of understanding in the most simplistic form what's going on here. Please take care of your OHV stuff in a way you did is above suspicion. Please help grow more weed. Hell, I love smoking it. Well, don't. And when Nicholson asked me to do what needs to be done to help us feel hope for the possibility of closure on 8 cases that for many appear as a stain on the city but are far from it. Allow Quinn and Larry to do what they came here to do, try to solve these crimes, preferably without the interference of politics. Let Hayes the same courtesy. All 3 of these men have the ability and potential to do good things here if they're allowed. We need them back. That's all.
Thank you so very much. Anybody else? Seeing nothing. Going to council agenda. This portion of the meeting is reserved for council members to present information, announcements, and items that have come to their attention. The Brown Act precludes council staff or the public discussion. Short staff responses are appropriate. The council will take no formal action. A council member may request the city clerk to calendar an item for the consideration at a future meeting or refer an item to staff. Does anybody have any AB 1234s to announce?
Two items from COG last Thursday. I emailed a proposed resolution that they're asking for from the Valley side to encourage the completion of Highway 46 for safety reasons. And they asked that all the cities in the county voice their support. And young men age of 18 need to enroll in the selective service. Apparently,
the draft.
There is no draft, but you still have to.
You have to enroll. You have to enroll. And what's happening is like the numbers are I think 60% of the potential enrollees are actually enrolling, and it affects the city monies and city projects too, which is hard to believe, but that came from COG meeting on Thursday.
Any other 1234s? All I've got is LAFCO tomorrow for myself. Councilman Sinovich, anything, sir?
We haven't discussed it. Budget meeting is at what time?
10 o'clock Saturday, the 26th.
10 o'clock. Okay. I have now been asking for repetitively to see the consultant report that was quoted by Waste Management for their request for a rate hike. I've asked also for 18-19 water department revenues broken down by commercial and residential. I'm hoping that the budget before we meet on Saturday, we'll have 18-19 year-to-dates for all the departments available to us. It's my understanding that at least one of the bridges in the park is now being walked on, but they're not open for.
They're not open for foot traffic.
But apparently they are being used in that fashion, so I imagine that means if they have to be barricaded, they're not safe. I would like a copy of the contract between the city and Jones and Mayer. I think every council member should have that in their stack of important contracts. Last meeting, I recommended that the city manager have a place in the agenda to present items. It's not in here today, but it should be there. And there should be a opportunity to tell.
Do you want it with the staff reports or at the end if I have
Where
something to
do you
announce?
choose to put it?
Yeah,
Okay,
something
we put
to
it.
announce.
I think it's your opportunity to tell us what you're working on and what you're bringing to us in the future. The community wants to hear this stuff, so.
Throw it in at this portion.
We received a monthly report from the planning department, and I'd like to see in that report something that tells us what happened, what is actually new that has transpired since the last report. I see a lot of open items, but I don't have any clue what new permit activity has occurred. I see that individual items are moving along, but I'd like to have some sort of a sense of what is actually coming to the city in that monthly report. Those are the items I have for tonight.
Sir? Sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Had an opportunity recently to see some of our finest in operation. It was a very difficult situation with a couple of the seniors in our town. And I'd like to publicly commend Captain Orr, Engineer Robert Marks, and Captain Orr's crew for really the great example that they set for the younger firefighters as they gave very gentle care to a distressed husband and a very difficult situation for a wife. And not that I'm surprised by this, but I'm impressed. Acting Chief Hayes and Officer Kalakios were also on that call, and even though he's 9'6", I was very impressed with the way that Acting Chief Hayes and Officer Kalakios really took the time to really calm down a husband while the fire guys were tending to the wife. And I appreciate the humanity that both our fire and our police that I got to observe firsthand. I think it's worthy of sharing that. And Chief Kosick and for Acting Chief Hayes, I want to thank you personally. Thank you, sir, and I hope you'll commend your guys and the fire guys and Officer Kalakios for the way that they really showed some real gentle spirit, and even getting some help from our victims advocate to be able to come over. It appears that things are turning the corner for them, so I think it's worthy of stating.
Thank you, sir. Sir?
Councilman Lucinovich pointed out about the meeting on Saturday, the budget meeting. To let everybody know, if you can ensure that Andy gets the slides to all of us council members prior, and any other Excel spreadsheets you might have, and also to show the 19 to 20, but all the way up to 2020, 23, 24 budget. So it would be 19, 20, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23, 20, 22, 23, and 23, 24, 5 years. So people like Mr. Tuhig can see that we are thinking strategically and that we have plans and know what we'll have when Measure C runs out. And we are looking into that and making sure that we have, doing everything that we can to make sure that we generate an extra $15 million to take care of police and fire when Measure C runs out. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. In reference to what's going on around town, on on, the 26th of this month, which is this Saturday, we have a budget meeting starting at 10 o'clock. So if you're interested, please attend. On the 28th of October at 9 o'clock at Reverend Sparks's church, and I forgot to write down the address for that. It's on Cal City Boulevard. It's on the northwest corner of the intersection of Conklin and CCB. They are having a memorial for Henry Lynn Osner. He was a World War II vet that rocked this world. He was an incredible individual. And to talk to him, you would never expect it. Very nice gentleman, incredible gentleman. Kind of laid back, but he took care of business when it was time to take care of business. And so we're going to be honoring him with a proclamation from this council to present to his wife and to his kids. Other than that, one other thing I wanted to pass on to everybody is that Pastor Belton passed away last week. So just giving everybody the 411 on that. We send our condolences to his family and parishioners and everybody. Other than that, the city's doing good. We're rocking and rolling, we're taking care of business, we're moving forward. And with that, looking for a motion.
Make that motion.
We got a first, got a second, all in favor of getting out of here, say aye.
I oppose so we can get to hear from our city manager.
I don't have an elaborate report, but I do have a good announcement.
Go ahead.
There's been a collaborative effort over the last probably 2 years with Bars Altadena. And December 1st, they'll be cutting a ribbon for their place over on North Loop behind Dr. Shree's office. It's a federally qualified health center, which means it accepts any insurance or no insurance. And they'll also be bringing 2 mobile units. And then hopefully they'll phase in x-rays, emergency care, and then triage for that kind of emergency.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you everybody for attending. This meeting is done. Have a great night. The super fantastic.